This is Jamie Drummond from Good Food Revolution. I am here today with none other than the wonderful Emily Pearce, who is joining us from Femmes du Vin. Femmes du Vin, for those of you who are unaware of the organization, is a non-profit grassroots organization for women, by women, that I believe you founded way back in 2016, Emily.
Yes, it's been a little bit. 2016, it started actually in my backyard. So we've come a
Oh,
long way. Yes.
what was the inspiration? What was the reason for bringing this organization together?
In the beginning, the genesis of it all was really to create a safe space for women in wine, a place where, you can collaborate, you can have conversations, you can meet other individuals in your field to discuss challenges, to find workplace opportunities. It was just really to create that safe space. And I knew that it didn't exist in our industry at that time. And I thought, well, I can do this. I can make that place. And it really started just as that. It was very casual, in 2016.
I guess thinking of the timing, this was kind of in the wake of our industry's Me Too moment, right?
It's funny. That did happen. there have been incidents and bits of the Me Too movement that have happened in the hospitality and the wine industry. But I would be remiss to say that inspired anything to do with Femmes du Vin. That was really it really kind of started before that whole movement started, and it was never reactionary. It was more proactive. It wasn't, oh, because of this, I'm going to do this to combat it. And it was more, I see this void and wanting to build. It wasn't reactionary. It was definitely more proactive. But yeah, the timing was interesting.
Who were the original founding members of Femmes du Vin that were with you in your backyard that evening?
Yeah. You know what? There were so many, and I'm very grateful. There's so many ladies in Toronto where it sort of started. Now it's very global. There were women from all across Toronto that were there helping set up the tent, go get ice, chill the wines, all of that sort of stuff. We started with probably about 40 women in the backyard, actually.
Wow.
So yeah, it started pretty large, actually, pretty large. And even to this day, I'm very grateful for all of the grassroots support and help from so many women that I've received and Femmes du Vin has received in our community.
It's quite a large backyard.
We're just very packed, right. one or the other, right?
So what kind of events, what kind of communications have you had throughout the evolution of Femmes du Vin up until now? Because we're just about to look at your virtual harvest seminar series.
Which is so exciting. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the harvest seminar. So it started out, I kind of think of it in different phases, sort of. Our first phase was in the backyard, and it grew organically, and we had a couple great sponsors like Advini and La Roche Chablis specifically that really supported us from the very, very beginning. Very grateful for some of our great sponsors that we've had. And then that was for a few years, and then it got so big we couldn't even fit it in the backyard, and we moved it. Sort of stage 2 was moving it to offsite to a venue in Toronto where Boxcar Social, which is amazing. Alex is such an incredible guy, and he donated his space, and we had it there. That was sort of phase 2. Phase 3, we were working with a media company on the East Coast, print media and just media company called The Herald. And they really helped facilitate moving into what we did last year, which was having a larger symposium, bricks and mortar. And we had that both in Halifax as well as in Toronto. We had speakers from all over the world come. They were sold out events. was really successful, and they were really big players in that success. So very grateful for everything they did for the organization. And then this last phase, which I guess stage 4, I guess we're at, very, very exciting, where we wanted to get back to, I really wanted to focus on getting back to what was important, and that it is a not-for-profit, and that it is run by women for women. So that's we registered it as a not-for-profit with the government, appointed a board of all amazing, strong women that help lead different fields in our organization. And then also that we built out our mentorship, our scholarship program, and our education program. 3 very big pillars that define us as an organization. Really, really important. So that's sort of where we are in this next phase as we move into our harvest seminar, which has been an interesting exercise during COVID times.
Well, I guess with the kind of spread of your network becoming international, it's actually, in a way, the restrictions that the pandemic places upon people gathering actually works quite well, because rather than everyone coming to a bricks and mortar location, you now have fantastic speakers from all over the globe coming together for these. You have 10 seminars. I mean,
I know, it's bonkers, right?
I know, it's absolutely amazing. Would you mind if we speak a little bit about the different seminars that you're going to be hosting?
Yeah, I'd love to. Absolutely.
That's okay. That's all right. Some of them are just fascinating, and I'm very interested to listen. Am I allowed to listen?
Absolutely, and it's very important.
Okay.
It's very important. We do stress this, that having allies in the community is so important. We are an inclusive not-for-profit. We are an inclusive group. We do promote diversity with a strong BIPOC initiative, as well as LGBTQ, women over 50. And we really appreciate all of our allies in the community, which are men. And it's so important that men, especially as yourself, who are leaders in the community, stand by this movement and stand by us and what we're doing. So we really appreciate and respect your support.
Oh, it's, I mean, I was looking through this last night, actually, when I received this from you, and just having put together a symposium before, I was looking at how you had structured these seminars and just thinking, these are great. Some of them I have some questions about, just because I'm trying to work out how they will work. But
and these are actually all, on this note, these are all, we've always had seminars, and I always thought, and you can speak to this too, in our industry, they're all sort of sponsor driven seminars, like here's our sponsor, what they want to talk about. But we're like, no, this isn't what Femmes du Vin's about. These are all community driven topics. And I think as you look through the topics, you're like, yeah, this is what people are talking about. This is what people want to know about.
They're obviously very, very relevant. And it's interesting the partnerships you do have here.
Yes.
So we're starting on Monday, September the 28th. Now, how does this work? It's you sign up for all 10 of them, and that gives you a pass for all $75 for all 10 of the, or pay what you can.
Well, we did want to make it accessible, because again, as education is a huge part of what we do. If you're a student, a lot of people have been out of work with COVID. We want to make it so it's not an absolute deal breaker. You can't afford a ticket. So we wanted to make sure everyone could attend. Of course, we'd love if, everyone gave their $75 and bought their all access pass though.
Yeah, you have to, because then you're building your business model on how many people are going to pay what they can. And
Right. Well, and also for our ticket sales, which is important to note, is all of our ticket sales go towards our scholarship fund, our scholarship endowment fund, which go to support the education of women in wine. So if not for us, do it for our community.
Yeah. And then, of course, thinking about your business plan there, you're not having to rent chairs or glassware or venues for that matter. However, I'm sure there are additional expenses that come about through hosting an event like this, simply from the technical side of things.
Yes, which is a whole new world to me. I'm lucky, very blessed to surround myself with very savvy individuals that know things about PR and marketing and Instagram and social
Right,
media, things
right.
that are all very foreign to me, and whom advise me on other services and professionals that we can leverage. So there are spends that would be relevant or applicable in non-COVID times, but you know what? It's been a great experience learning about all of the new fancy things on the market to help facilitate
Yeah.
communications.
So looking at Monday, September the 28th, I
Hmm.
think your first seminar is diversity and inclusion, which of course is like right on the money right now, considering
Yes.
where we're at in the world, right? So very interested to see that you partnered with Wines of South Africa, because
Yes.
South Africa having the history that it does, it's very heartening to see that they've stepped up to the plate to assist you with that particular seminar. And my old friend Jancis is on your
Yes.
panel. So that's quite
Yes.
fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the thinking behind this particular seminar.
This is a very important topic. It's something that's on everyone's mind, and it's something we as a community in hospitality and in wine need to discuss more and need to understand more, and we need to build together to understand and recognize the challenges that do exist in our industry, and also to start trying to build more inclusivity. We have an incredible group of women on this panel, as you mentioned, Jancis Robinson, who is, I mean, words are beyond to describe her.
Yeah.
Such a leader in our field. Julia Coney, an icon from the United States of America, who's so very important in the conversation. We have also the first female Black winemaker in South Africa, which we are so lucky to have. And June Ardell, Master Sommelier, she's from the United States, actually out of Texas, and she heads the diversity and inclusion committee for the Court of Master Sommeliers as well. So she's incredibly versed in this topic. And so you really have a panel of individuals, not just women, but top individuals in our industry coming together to discuss such an important topic with different perspectives, different insights. And I'm personally so very excited to be able to listen in and learn and grow as a professional in this industry, but also as a person. And a note to our sponsor, Wines of South Africa, it really speaks volumes, because it's not just a talk the talk, not meaning to be cliche, but they really do walk the walk, and they stand behind inclusivity. And we're really lucky to work with such a great organization. It's been a real pleasure, a real pleasure.
I think that's a really strong seminar out the starting gate. I think that's
Yes.
fantastic. As soon as I read that, I was like, holy smoke. All right.
Not messing around.
Up next, a topic that always gets me in a bit of a fizz: natural wines.
Are you saying the wines are fizzy or cloudy?
No,
don't say that.
Some of them, some of them are when they're not supposed to be, I think. But anyway, yeah, another controversial topic. Tell us your thoughts behind this one.
It's such an important topic, and it's so divisive. It's such a divisive topic, isn't it? As a wine professional myself, I have strong feelings about it, and I have big thoughts about it. I do. And I'm really excited about the individuals that are on this panel. Isabelle Legeron, Master of Wine, founder of the Raw Wine Festival, as well as Pascaline Lapatier, Master Sommelier. Those two women, or those two people, I think you can say with very little hesitation, are the foremost experts in the world on this topic. Very interestingly, from those sort of two high church perspectives of the master sommelier and the master of wine, I'm blown away by the breadth and depth of their knowledge on this topic. And then we, like it's really fascinating. And then to have the grape witches, our homegrown grape witches from Canada, in on the conversation. I think that's really dynamic and exciting. I think it's going to introduce a lot of color to the conversation as well.
I mean, I think they're both very entertaining and very erudite as well, and they've really caught the zeitgeist of the market within Toronto.
Absolutely.
And
that's great. I think that is great because, you have this sort of high church approach about natural wines and why it's important, but the grape witches, they're incredible people, and their message is so powerful. They've engaged people that aren't, wine drinkers necessarily, and they're moving to natural wines. These are like non-wine drinkers. These are people that are picking up wine glasses for the first time, and they're like, I'm into this. This is cool. This Gruner's weird and awesome. And I think there's such power behind that. Like, they're introducing a whole segment of individuals into our market. And I think that's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on to Monday, October the 5th. This is something that your cohort, Jennifer Huther, is all over.
Yes.
Vegan wines. And she's been talking about this for quite some time now. And it's a thing.
It's a thing. She is ahead of the curve, as always. Yep. Oh, yeah. Ms. Huther is definitely always ahead of the curve in all things wine. And I'm really excited about this because it's such a growing and expanding topic, and a growing and expanding segment of the market. You see the percentage of vegans, vegetarians, or plant-based diet people growing and growing and growing when there's more awareness about impact to health, impact to the environment, impact to society. You see this market, or you see this segment just really coming to maturity. And I think that it's going to be a very interesting seminar. I've heard Jennifer, I've been lucky to hear her speak on this topic a number of times, and every time she comes to the table, it's just more information and more knowledge. So it's really, really exciting.
And then you've partnered with Wines of New Zealand, or New Zealand wine growers, for Made with Care for Our Future Generations, Understanding Carbon Neutral Wines and Learning from the New Zealand Perspective, which kind of ties in with your third seminar there, the vegan wines, right? Because the two are kind of hand in hand, so to speak.
Yes.
I think that will be an interesting one. You've got Michelle Buffa.
I think so.
Yeah.
She's so, and I'm sure as we're talking about carbon neutral wines, I'm sure Stephen Campbell's ears are perking up somewhere, right? Like that's his thing, sure. Right? What a good guy he is. But Michelle Buffa, so founder of Taste and Climate Change. What a great symposium, and what great work she's done on that topic. Truly a professional and a leader in that field. She has such great depth and breadth of knowledge on the topic. We're really lucky and grateful to be working with her. And Wines of New Zealand, what a fascinating story they bring to the table. They're committed to being their whole country to be carbon neutral by 2050. What a revolutionary idea. And this is going to be such a fascinating conversation about that initiative and how what steps they're taking in their industry to do so, and why we should care, and why it's so important.
I think we could take many tips from New Zealand on so many different levels right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Moving on to October the 19th. So much to talk about here. Rioja. A region that I think kind of I mean, I grew up when Rioja was, you know, almost every wine bar, every restaurant had a Rioja on by the glass. But we kind of, I think we forget about Rioja sometimes. So it's nice to see that you have Rioja, the roots that connect us. So understanding the supply chain from top to bottom. Explain that.
Very cool. And we actually have Canada's newest master of wine, Jackie Blisson, out of Quebec, who will be the moderator on this panel. So big tip of the hat to her. We're all so happy for her and her achievement in achieving that designation. So yes, the supply chain management, it's one of these kind of very unsexy things that exist in the wine industry, and understanding and how all of these pieces fit together. How do we go from a grape on the vine? How does it get off the vine? What happens to it in the winery? How does it get processed? Where does it get bottled? How does it get shipped? What's the quality control and the quality assessment of that process? How does it come overseas? How do we check these wines? How does it get into the market? How does it get into a restaurant, into our glass, or on a shelf in a wine shop? It's things that we don't necessarily think of, but it's very interesting to contextualize this business process. And we're doing so by looking at incredible women in the industry in Rioja that make it happen. And we're looking at it through the lens of, as you said, a very storied and historical and important region in the world that I think we all should take a second look at.
That ties in very nicely with the second seminar upon that day, which is fair labor. So you're looking at human equality from vine to glass. And that's a topic that I think we quite often forget about, the human factor in this. And it explains why wines are priced in a certain way from certain countries and not others.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole labor force behind getting a glass of wine to you is something that we tend to forget, which ties in with your supply chain thing. But as we've seen from recent scandals coming out of Italy with regards to exploitation of workforce, I think it's very poignant to have this particular seminar in your setup here, because I think it's something that we don't think about all that often.
We don't think about it, and again, we're very committed to our inclusivity and diversity and BIPOC initiatives, and this is something that we really felt needed to be discussed in greater depth. We don't think about the human capital that it takes to get that glass of wine, and it's a real thing. There's a lot of exploitation that happens in the vineyard, in winemaking, in restaurants, all the way to, when we're consuming it. And I think it's as an industry and as a human being, we need to step back and look at that. And we need to evaluate, what are the costs? What's the human damage that, that we're leaving in the path, and how can we be better consumers, smarter consumers, and more humane consumers?
It's interesting because I hadn't really thought about the restaurant aspect of it, but because that goes right into the whole fair wage tip situation and all that. I was thinking of the winery workers, but fantastic. That's something I have a real key in my mind.
Absolutely. We all feel that, right?
And then on Monday, the 26th, you have Femmes du Vin. A seminar so good you named it twice. So you have two parts that day.
We
right?
We do. We're so excited about this. This is Jen Huther, who's she's on the board of directors as our chair of education. She's been really pivotal working with the sponsor of this, Gibson Family Wines, who has been incredible to work with. This is really a skills-focused workshop. This is for all of not just wine students, of course, wine students, MS, MW, IWAG, CAPS, whatever it is, but people that love wine and want to understand how to evaluate wine. So what we've done here, and this is just this doesn't happen. This isn't like, wow, they're doing this. This is interesting this year. It's no, you don't ever get to see this. And that's why this is so fascinating. We have some of the top people in the world who evaluate wine and taste wines blind, showing you how they evaluate and taste wines blind. So we have Elise Lambert, who is a master sommelier, one of the very, very best in the industry. She's a force. She will be coming to the table, showing blind tasting skills and blind tasting grid from the Quarter Master Sommelier format. And she will be working on the same panel as Vero Rivise, who is obviously sort of our queen bee, we might say, in Canada of wine. She came second in the world in the international sommelier competition, the highest placing female in history, the highest placing North American in history. She is an incredible woman. She's going to share her insights. And then Elsa McDonald, master of wine, incredible taster, incredibly insightful academic, wonderful person, who will be coming and doing her blind tasting from the master of wine perspective. And they will all have 3 wines in front of them, and they'll be judging and evaluating the 3 wines. I'm very blessed to be the moderator of that. I'll definitely be all ears and taking in everything I can. And actually what will be really cool, which I'm really excited about, is that people within Ontario, unfortunately just Ontario, will actually be able to buy the wines that they're tasting and have them blinding in front of them at home. And kind of follow along, which is super cool, to be able to blind taste along with like some of the best blind tasters in the world.
I guess we put that down to the silver lining of the mixed case from Gibson.
Right.
Families. Right. So
right. Absolutely.
One of the only good things to come out of the pandemic. God.
One of very few.
And then your second part is actually 3 women changing Burgundy today and the wines behind them. So this is 3 women winemakers from Burgundy who are going to be explaining exactly what they're doing.
Exactly. And it's so interesting because it's such, again, like Rioja, it's such a historied and interesting and translucent area of wine. Like the wines speak to their terroir. It's the history, it's Socratic, the region of Burgundy, when you're speaking about wine. It really, truly is. And having these different women, different perspectives, it might be someone who's just started making wine. It might be somebody whose family's been making wine for generations. And talking about being in that region, making these wines, how they use their skills and their knowledge, what they're bringing to the table, and how they see that region changing and evolving. I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation.
Moving on, swiftly on, before my time runs out on this interview. I've not upgraded it to the infinite
That's
one
okay.
yet. Monday, November the 2nd, you kind of invert the whole Napa Valley stereotype of the kind of macho dickhead winemaker, with women in power, Napa Valley style. So
yes, and oh my gosh, there are so many incredible women working out of Napa Valley now. It's an embarrassment of riches. It really is when you see the quality of women and also the diversity of women. These aren't just maybe somebody who's family's been doing. It's people who are new to the country. It's people who are new to the field, and everyone bringing this amazing energy to the industry. It's really I'm really excited about that. And Napa Valley has been so incredible to work with. And the problem with that seminar is that there is such a richness in the content of women, that was actually the struggle. So many incredible women to bring to the table.
Well, I wish I was able to taste those wines too.
Absolutely, right?
And seminar 10 on that day, that's the World Wine Web.
Yes.
COVID-19, wine clubs and the future of wine online and on the web. A very spot on seminar, considering
It is.
everything that's going on right now and the impact that this pandemic has had upon the hospitality industry and how people are having to pivot. I'm talking about agents, I'm talking about sommelier, I'm talking about people who are just interested in wine as servers.
Even our organization has had to pivot,
exactly,
right?
yes.
Absolutely. Not at all. And so we've had to do that, make that pivot ourselves. And it's, you know what, those who've been able to make that pivot have been so successful. And so it has been an absolute blessing in disguise. And it is so topical. This topic was actually voted on by our social media followers. This is what they wanted to hear about. This is what they wanted to hear about. And so we have some really amazing people like Sarah D'Amato, Madeline Paquette from Wine Folly, some really incredible people coming to the table to talk about this topic. And it's like, it's a bit of the Wild West right now. Like it's, you know, nobody really knows the rules. We're making the rules up. Things are changing, but I think it's for the better. And those that can be flexible and agile, we're seeing a lot of success. I think that this is so topical and so important.
Fantastic. So if people were interested in signing up for this or reading a little bit more about the seminars,
yes,
where would they be going?
So check us out on Instagram, Femmes du Vin, and we have amazing resources online on our Instagram account. You can see all of the speakers, you can see all of the topics, you can go to our website, femmesduvin.org. We're just really grateful for all of the support that we've had in the industry from 2016 to now. And we're so excited about this upcoming seminar. I think it's really going to blow the roof off. So it's very, very exciting.
Well, Emily, Pearce, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk with me today. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Who's this young fellow that's just here?
This fellow is Charles Francis. He's a supporter. He's a supporter. He keeps me busy when I'm not doing things with Femmes du Vin, and you're a very good boy. Yes, you are.
I'll let you get back to your son. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye-bye.